See. Okay, we're live. Yay. It's Sue Greenwald here with Awaken Stories. I'm here with the real one and only original John F. Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing good. I was just shouting out on TikTok and YouTube a minute ago, and I lost my voice a little bit, but I'm doing good other than that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we usually try to catch up once a week. So I thought let's just see what's new and exciting and what has happened out in society. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So wow, and I think it's going to be to everyone's benefit. But for the new viewers who watch this, we're always talking about John's book. The story is here, Stolen Identity by John Kennedy Jr. All right. So it's always here. And if you can read the book, it just saves me a lot of trouble from answering all the questions. And you have a better understanding of the story. This story is like really an important story to get out there. Okay. Because we're seeing come out in the news all the trafficking and all this stuff is coming up about what they've done. And this story is extremely pertinent. So, and we also did a couple videos, which will be down in the description below. About a year ago, we did them based on the story so people can understand the chronological story a little bit better. And, this is just the tip of the iceberg of the information that's going to be coming out soon. So,
And I always say, people share, and if we can expose these criminals and my story and the child trafficking, we can save some lives. If we can stop the criminals from their evil deeds, I'm sure we can save some
yeah,
lives. So it's that important to
it's really
get the
important.
story out. It really
Yeah,
is that important.
yeah. So we talk, random things every week. Sometimes it's just chit-chatting, talking about the updates of what's going on out in the world. Sometimes John will tell a story. Doesn't really matter. What's important is to keep the continuity of the story out there so that the people that don't know about this can somehow find it, whether it be YouTube, someone giving them a book, whatever it might be, or just a conversation that piques their interest, right? Yeah. So, so about a week ago we talked, and they had President Trump had signed that he was going to release the JFK files. So that was very big news, and we'll be seeing what actually comes out. But I think we're going to see a lot of truth coming out about that and other related topics. That things were not what we were told in the news. Okay, nothing is ever told correctly to the people, right? So
Right.
we're going to
That's for
really
sure.
see that intensely this coming year.
And people know, I was at the grocery store yesterday,
Yeah.
and the guy that works there that I've got to know that calls me John knows my story. He said, John, Trump is releasing the Kennedy files. What do you think about that? And I was like, well, we'll see how much black ink is covered up under
Yeah.
over David Keith Quigley's name.
Yeah. It's gonna, well, it will be super interesting to see if you're included in the files or not, or whether it's just focused on assassination or what is actually in there. So it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting.
If they really, if I don't think, because they'll have to round a lot of people. If they tell the truth, they'll have to round a lot of people up and put them in prison.
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
mean,
what
my
we
sister,
want.
what they're doing in our government, what they have done, the takeover of our government by people that aren't who they really are.
Right.
And that's the key of what the assassination files were all about, was the
Yeah.
takeover of the United States government. You had the Kennedys at the top. Well, they went and unalived them
Right.
and put their people in. That's the Kennedy files. That's what they did.
Yeah.
That's the story in short. So
Yeah.
are they going to admit that? I don't know.
Well, it's a shocking story that our own government can do that to its own people, but it's been doing nefarious stuff to its own people since it was incepted, right? So
Yeah.
everything is fraudulent, everything is a lie. The people, of course, before the internet, communication which was much slower, but the people were innocent. The people believed what they were told by medical doctors, by the newscasters, by this, by it. Anyone with authority, they believed, and they were innocent. Well, now with the internet and our fast communication and video proof, we're seeing things are not what we thought they were. The consciousness levels are rising, information is coming out faster and faster. People are starting to have interest in educating themselves for the most part through YouTube or whatever platform they're using. And it's easy to get the stories out there unless you're censored. All right. So everyone that's watching this now knows that we've been censored heavily in the past few years. Channels taking down, videos taking down, copyright claims, all sorts of crazy stuff. They just plain Jane take it down. And who do you complain to? Right? Nobody.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. So by sharing the videos, the book, the story, the conversations with others, we're getting this out at the grassroots level, which is super important. Yeah.
I've always been into history, and you know, in school when I even went to school, which I didn't go off in, history was my favorite.
Yeah.
Going into the tombs with Wayne and Aristotle Onassis and trying to find the treasure. You know, they had the money, they had the billions of dollars to try to find the treasures and everything. And it was always my favorite. So what I have learned is, way back in time, thousands of years, the rulers have always deceived the people.
Right.
It's so they can stay in power. It's nothing new.
Right.
It's still being done in the United States. But like in Rome, if they had a bad ruler, they'd drag him through the streets.
Yeah.
They wouldn't mess around.
Yeah.
If the government was caught stealing from the people, they would not mess around. And with the United States, we know they're all crooked. We know they're corrupt, but we don't drag them through the streets because I guess we're better than that now. But
It's not only that we're better, which we like to think we're more educated. I'm not sure if that's true, but don't have access to them. You go up to the White House, there's fences around it, snipers on the roof, agents all over. You're not allowed to, like go in like in the old days, you could actually walk in. Not that you would, but you could walk the grounds or whatever way back when.
yeah,
You
I mean, you go to the Social Security office, you go any government building,
Yeah,
you're behind, you got to talk to them behind an inch thick
yeah,
plexiglass,
yeah,
bulletproof. They're the armed guards that are, and
yeah,
why did we get this far? Because our government, you know, our
yeah,
government did it to us. We have a government that is not friendly to the people, that is afraid of the people. You go to a restaurant, you don't have to talk to the chef and the waiter and the waitress, behind thick glass, because it's a friendly atmosphere. But you go to anywhere in our government, it's not friendly. And
right,
people need to wake up and see what I'm saying about all that.
right,
It has become what it
right.
has become. It should not, we should have an open door policy with our politicians. We really should, but we don't.
You walk around and you go to the post office, the grocery, whatever it might be, and you just have a little quick snippet of a conversation with somebody about the government. Everyone knows the government is correct. We all laugh about it. Like, yet there's some people that still believe in what they tell us to do. Okay. We all know they're correct. Okay. So John's story, he was put in, we're going to call it witness protection, which is a horrible term. Okay. You were basically kidnapped, tortured, abused in every way imaginable, drugged, subject to murder, like all sorts of things your entire life, right? And the
It's
government
huge what I
knew.
had to go. It's so huge. And I wish I had all the answers, because I mean, people don't tell you what's going on. And then, we only live so long. And a lot of the handlers and people that had their objectives of, one world order, they're dead now. I'm sure the people that unalive my mother and my sister, they're not here to this day, because I was a kid and they were gray-haired old men. They can't be alive. Um,
Yeah, but see, you were a president's son, but there are celebrities' son and other politicians' children all over the world, not just the U.S., that have probably undergone something similar to what you've
Yeah,
gone.
there is many because
Yeah.
our cabal government go after the wealthy.
Yeah.
They go after, the powerful, the people in power. It's all about money and power.
Yep.
And I learned that at a very young age. If I tried to figure out a puzzle, an attempt on my life, well, what's it all about? It's about money and power. It all comes back to the same thing. You read the Bible, it comes back to the same thing: money and
Yep.
power, greed.
Yep.
It, it-
Yeah. So, again, and people weren't even aware of human trafficking to this extent. Now, when it came out, like say 20 plus years ago, when people started talking about it, you would think, oh, it's just a few people here and there. You wouldn't think it was an organized network of trafficking. The things that are going on are horrific. So as our communication has improved, our video capability, and our consciousness has expanded, we're seeing the nefarious things that have been done to the people more clearly every day. It's horrific.
yeah,
And there's yeah, go
Mary
ahead.
Maxwell brought something to my attention yesterday. She was asking me about the kids that tried to take my life on my motorbike by undoing the brakes. It was planned. I got off the school bus. I didn't see nobody around. I hopped on my motorbike. I rode a motorbike to the school bus because we lived like a mile and a half away. But what they did before the school bus got there was what they tampered with my brakes. So they made it I had no brakes. Um, but my point is the community that I lived in was run by the cabal. They were getting these other children, these people from Hollywood, so they can make power over them. And it's hard for me to explain why they do it, but it's so they can do crimes and not be there while the crimes are being committed. Just a lot like um, MK Ultra.
Right,
They
right,
want to sit back. They want to reap the benefits of somebody else doing the work for them,
right,
the
right.
evil deeds for them. So they train the children at a young age, and it's really huge on what they do. It it it, it was a regular community. It was like a big training camp, basically. From
Well, in your book, you talked about how they would have meetings every once in a while, and they would put like a tent above their meetings so people flying over wouldn't know that people were up doing whatever they were doing. But there
yeah.
was,
I was taught at a very young age how to make a candle where it can't be seen by an aircraft.
yeah, yeah. So you attended these meetings, and there was all sorts of nasty stuff happening there, but a lot of planning. So you said they planned far out in advance.
Oh, they
You
do.
you
And
also,
I always get in trouble too. I would, because they'd be at their meeting, the Masons or secret societies. They would have a tent full of people and they would all be praying. And I would say something, they'd like, shh, we're talking to this person or I'm talking to that person. It's like, but your lips ain't moving. And one time they said something, and I was like, well, if you're not talking to these people, how do you know you're talking to these people? You're saying you're knowing what they're saying. I'm calling bullshit. I got in trouble for that because I was like, you don't know what they're saying because they're not talking to you. But yeah, I got in trouble for that
so
one. But
what
yeah,
was the answer when you said that though?
I just got in trouble
Ah, because they're
because
probably,
that's how the cult system works. It's
yeah.
like just go with the program.
Yeah. Well, they were probably talking telepathically using like dark occult magic or whatever,
Well, that's what they thought they were doing, and I was like, tell me what she said then out loud. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
One person would have been, I'm talking about Martians, and the other one was talking about puppy dogs.
Yeah. 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 And they were, of course, talking to dark entities and doing whatever they're doing. But Yeah. So we have talked about this previously, that you are like the point of the snow plow, you're or the ice cutter in a Great Lake. You're breaking apart everything and you're paving the way for those behind you. All the
I'm
whistleblowers.
sure trying, like I was saying a few minutes
Yeah,
ago, I
yeah,
wish I had all the answers because
yeah.
I was tortured I was kidnapped and I was tortured for ransom by the bad guys. But then the good guys that would rescue me would torture me again so I wouldn't tell who rescued me. Um,
Yeah.
craziness,
Doesn't
craziness.
really make sense, does it? Like that we would do that to any citizen in our country, let alone a president's son.
And the good guys I can see, I was kidnapped once and I was set and I was made to eat rat poison at gunpoint. And somebody came in and rescued me. I had just been poisoned. I was sick. They were taking me to the hospital. But while we were in the truck, another car pulled up and the guy got out and blew the guy's head off right there on a little dirt road, just blew his head off. And I'm sitting in there sick as hell.
Yeah.
So by me sharing that story, am I getting the good guy in trouble or the bad guy? I don't have all the answers. I mean, this was years and years ago, so the people probably aren't even alive to this day. But
How old were you about at that point?
I was a young teenager.
Okay. So the guy that rescued you was presumably taking you to the hospital, right? The guy that came and killed him, what did you get in his car and he took you away?
No, the guy that rescued me from the house where I was poisoned shot a guy that pulled up.
Oh, 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 oh,
So
oh.
he shot a bad guy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I ended up at the cartel um, the same time at the cartel, and I watched an old man get ate by a lion. They had an arena there, and there was all kinds of Hispanic people all around, elderly, and they were all doing what the cartel told them. And the leader of the cartel said, "Hey, my lion's got to eat no matter what," because they wanted to feed the gal. There was a gal there that made me had have helped me out. She had me throwing up the poison that I'd ate the night before, and he wanted to kill her. He wanted to feed her to the lion. I'm like, hey man, she had to help. She helped me. You can't feed her to a lion for trying to help me. And he's like, my lion's got to eat. But they actually grabbed an old man and fed him to the lions right there. I'll never forget it. The lion grabbed the man with his jaws by the stomach and shook him like a little doll. Just like you see a dog grab a doll, stuffed animal, and go like that.
Yeah.
The lion did the exact same thing. And I was like, wow, did I just witness that? But see, the CIA works with these people. They make their money from the cartel and all the illegal drugs coming over
Yeah. So, all right, so let's just go back a little bit. You're rescued from being fed rat poison at gunpoint by a guy in a truck, and he's rushing you to, we think, a hospital or somewhere. A car pulls up and blocks the way, and your guy that's driving shoots the other guy, kills him right
Yeah,
there.
I do believe I went to the hospital and they pumped my stomach. I
Okay.
do believe that. But then I woke up at the cartel and all this craziness was going on. They had lions, they had a corral, like a horse corral, but they actually had lions in there. And I actually seen them throw an old man in there and fed the lion, an old Hispanic man.
The man was alive when he was thrown in.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. That
And
must
that
be,
lion shook him like a rag doll. Just I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
yeah.
And I was standing there right on the edge of the corral. It was a wood corral, just like you'd have horses in it, but it was taller, and it had wires so the lions couldn't get out.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. Where was I exactly? Um, I really couldn't tell you, but it was a very powerful cartel situation where they could feed people to their lions. They had to have the whole community sewn up.
Okay. Wow. I don't remember you telling me that story, but you did talk about witnessing someone, their remains or whatever being thrown to the pigs when you first got to the Quigleys.
Oh, I was a little kid then.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Max Quigley had pigs, and he worked at a chicken ranch. So we were always feeding the pigs eggs, dozens of old eggs, just throwing them in there to the hogs.
Yeah.
And I remember he was told by somebody, make sure you don't feed them for a couple days. And a
Okay.
couple days later, when they were really, really good and hungry, I saw a body get thrown in there. And these pigs were huge. They were huge. And they devoured it, bones and all. You could hear the crunching. And I was just a little kid. But yeah, the body disappeared within minutes.
That must
The pigs had that body gone.
that must have been horrifying to watch and listen to. And like
They used to let me miss school. When they had the man come out and slaughter them. He was always worried about the insides and not getting any blood on the ground and things like that. But they would allow me to miss school when the guy would come out and put a cap in their head and hoist them up and cut the stomach open and put the guts in a 55-gallon drum and all that. They used to say, hey, you stay here from school today and watch what they're doing. So yeah, I was basically that was my school watching a hog get slaughtered.
awful.
And I think it might have been because you never know what was left in that pig's stomach after they ate a human being.
What do you think they did with those barrels?
They I asked the guy when I was real young, what is it? And they said pig's blood has worms in it, and you don't want it on the ground because, and that's the story they told me. The worms are bad, but that's why they said they would, all the blood would be drained into these barrels. I don't know what, I never asked the question, what did he do with them afterwards? But I know it was all separate from the meat and the blood and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah. So they had a little system with what they did, right? And I know you told us maybe 8 months ago a story where you went out on a boat and they dumped bodies overboard as well.
Well, it
And
was probably body parts.
yeah,
Um, but it was the biggest ice chest I ever seen. And it was all hush hush. They had their binoculars out. You could tell something was up. I was just a little kid, but even little kids know, when they're, are we out far enough yet? And, they're looking out for other boats. I don't see no other boats. And then the bodies
yeah,
start going out into the ocean. And then the sharks come and then they shoot the sharks with their guns. Some more sharks come. They know how to get rid of things.
yeah. So we're really down a pretty dark little conversation here right now. But
Yeah, we need to get off this
let's make it
darkness.
more light and fluffy. But that just goes to show those that are watching that it hasn't been a normal upbringing for John. He went to the Quigley household. There was a lot of Hollywood people that lived in that area as well that participated in these dark meetings. And everyone in that area was pretty much involved. Okay, so there was a lot of negative and nefarious stuff going on. So that's how you grew up, which is horrible. And our government facilitated that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight up.
Yep. Yep. Now I know
So
you.
like I was saying, I really didn't know who the good guys and bad guys were because
Yeah.
my life was such a shambles. And
Yeah.
then, knowing I was, knowing I was John Kennedy Jr. and my father was the president, but knowing I couldn't say anything, I wanted it to forget it. I wanted to suppress all of it because I just wanted to live a happy life
Worse.
and remembering all this stuff all the time. But when
Yeah.
they tried to take my life in San Diego, um, It was really hard. It really was. I was walking down the street in San Diego in poverty. I had duct tape on my shoes and I was kicking a can. And I kept kicking that can saying, I'm fucking John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. My father was president. And look at me now. I'm homeless. I got duct tape on my shoes. I got one set of clothes. They stole all my possessions, everything. And I'm kicking a freaking can down the road. And I was like, crazy. And everybody's wanting me freaking dead. Not because who I am.
Not because of what you've done, but because of
Right.
who you were.
Exactly. That's what I was going to. Yeah.
Yeah. So they tried to
Exactly.
kill you that day?
It was crazy in San Diego.
All right.
It really was. The people I were with, the Quigleys, said they were my cousins. My cousin told me basically he poisoned my Taco Bell burrito. There was hitmen coming to. I was locked in a warehouse, and there was hitmen coming around the corner trying to get into the door. I would peek out the window and see a man walk around the corner with a gun in his hand. I was with my cousin out front one day, and when your adrenaline's running, it's a trip. It's hard to explain. I call it the 1,000 yard stare. But there was a black man, and he was walking down the street towards us, right through the middle of the street, walking right towards us. And I grabbed my weapon that I had behind my back, and I didn't show it, but I had it concealed. And I said, "He's coming to kill me. I can tell. I feel it." And my cousin looked at me, and I said, I basically said, we're going to have a shootout right here in the street in San Diego. My cousin took off his ball cap like that, put it back on his head.
Oh,
He gave the man a signal because my stupid ass told him what I thought. The man did a 360, right in the middle of the street, walking towards me. He did a complete 360 and walked away.
wow.
Then the next day, this guy shows up. I'd met him once at the shop I was working in San Diego with, and he grabs a baseball bat out of the blue. I never knew this guy, never called him an idiot or an asshole or no, no reason for a confirmation whatsoever. He grabbed a baseball bat and he started to swing it like that. And I grabbed it, my pistol I had behind my back, and I was like, I'll kill you. And my cousin was like, oh, no, no, no. You don't want to do that because I had a 357 in my hand. But he wanted to beat me up with a baseball bat for no reason except the reason that I'm John Kennedy Jr. and they were evil, corrupted people stealing money, killing people, and I knew about it.
It's hard for us to even conceive of what you've been through. But like I said, because of what you're going through and the fact that you're getting the story out now, you're paving the way. More and more stories are going to be coming out. We're going to be horrified by each and every one of them.
And that
Yeah.
was just in San Diego. All that stuff was just within days in San Diego. All the attempts on my life. There was one guy that showed up at the shop and he was walking around pacing all nervous like, and I was like, what's going on? And then all these cop cars with their sirens pulled out front. They weren't out front of the shop I was in, but they were across the street. And they were sitting there with the sirens on. And the guy looked and he got all nervous and then he left. And I was like, why were they there with their sirens on? Unless they were there with their sirens on just to scare the individual that was there to kill me away. I wish I had the answers, but I was basically saved that day too. Um, yeah, it was
That's an
crazy.
unusual happening. So, like, it's hard to know what side the police were on in that situation was. Yeah.
It's when you don't know the answers, it's hard to figure them all out.
Yeah.
But when all this was going on, I had a couple suitcases at my cousin's house, the Quigley's relatives supposedly, And I was like, I got to get my suitcases. I got to get my a change of clothes anyway. And I went there to get my suitcases and my change of clothes, and there was nothing in the house. It was completely empty. And I was like, okay, they just tried to kill me, and now their whole house is empty. And I was like, did they think I was dead? Now they're running away and moved away. I mean, it was craziness, absolutely craziness.
About how old were you then?
Oh, I would have to figure it out, but I'm just guessing 30 years old.
Okay. I wonder if they were just hired to kind of like, be your handlers. Okay.
Well, my cousin's son told me it was about insurance. That's when I met Scott Peterson, and all that was going on. I believe because I was talking about them killing Opal May Edwards, and I believe it was because I knew about murders and was publicly saying, "Hey, where'd my aunt go? My aunt's gone. How come these people were coming over saying, 'Help me, Dave, help me, I need help,' and then I'd never see him again?" Just like Opal May Edwards came to me and said, "There's funny business going on here at Quigley's. Remember my name." And when somebody tells you that and you never see them ever again and can't find them, you're like, "What happened to Opal May Edwards?" And then all of a sudden, people are trying to freaking kill you.
Yeah. And didn't you say that somebody you knew was driving her car around?
That was the cousin.
Yeah.
Got a brand new paint job.
Yeah. Suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
what they did. I seen them lie so much. And I was like, how could people be that evil and lie to another human being as bad as I saw him lie?
yeah.
I mean, this was my cousin. A guy comes up, and I was witness to this. I was only there a few days, but he's like, "How much to paint your car?" My cousin was like, "I'll give you the most beautiful paint job for $2,000." Right? They do a little work. They park the car about back. They spend the man's $2,000. The man paid for his paint job, and he comes back, and his car is worse than it was when he brought it there. And they had people calling him up and say, "Oh yeah, we had a fire here last night, and um, all our records are destroyed." I mean, the lies that these cabal members tell, it's absolutely crazy.
So
And
they
people,
kept the money, they spent the money, they never did the work.
that's what they kept doing.
Yeah. Did he finally take his car back or did something happen to him?
Well, this was mini cars. This wasn't just one. What they did was they opened up a auto body paint shop.
Mm.
They collect all this money from people. They advertise in the newspaper. Hey, come get your car painted for $699 or whatever it is. All these people would come give them the money up front. They'd park the cars out back, and they would never do any of the work.
Wow. Yeah. And people were
I don't know if they
unsuspecting.
were opening these businesses with fraudulent names or what, but I was a witness to it, and it was freaking crazy how they were just ripping people off.
Yeah. So just in this what that we've been talking 30 plus minutes, we've heard about murders, attempted murder, like all this stuff in just a short span of your life. Okay, so
Yeah, we need to start talking about kitty cats and puppy dogs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So show us your exciting new thing that you've got coming out.
Oh, this is wonderful. This lady, Mary Maxwell, and the other day I need to message you her phone number because she said she wanted the Sue Greenwald, the beautiful Sue Greenwald, to have her phone number, but I forgot to give it to you.
Oh, good.
But
So
she wrote this book for me and for her and for many that haven't had justice. It's called The Historian's Tale, and she's said a couple times, "I'm the historian." Me, John Kennedy. The Amazing Return of President Kennedy's Son. She ordered 100 copies, all in color. Even the pictures are in color. She sent me 15 copies the other day. I already mailed those out. I'm waiting on 35 more copies. So it's kind of like a limited edition colored copy.
Right.
She's been mailing her copies out to everybody she can think of to help get my story out, which is awesome of her. Um, just like Stolen Identity, I probably can't read this one. Like I couldn't read this one because this one I read a couple pages and I was in tears. Went back, read a couple more pages. I was in tears again. It was like, I don't need to read it. It was my life. I lived it once.
Yeah.
But Mary Maxwell is awesome. She talks about my son's passing away and my fake birth certificate, many things. She studied, she was actually in law, but she studied MK Ultra for years. She's interviewed many people under MK Ultra. She's sharing the story of MK Ultra. So it's kind of like a book on me and her life and experience all at the same time.
Right. Well, a lot of us can't even like comprehend what you've told us. Like, you're telling us this story and we're like, oh my God, like we grew up in more sheltered circumstances, let's put it that way. And but the story has got to come out. All right. So we need to
Right.
understand the baseline story, get it out there. And this story is going to become out there in our society this year. Right? We're not waiting around for another 5 years. We're not fooling around anymore. This year,
Amen to
2025.
that. Power of
Yeah,
positive thinking. We're getting the story out.
yeah,
I mean, my channel should have millions of views. Your channel should have millions of views.
yeah.
It should because it's the most important story of the century. It really, really is. I mean, Donald Trump says, "Oh, he's going to release the JFK files." Well, hey, they're right here. We're all a part of it. The world needs to know, but they keep suppressing us and don't want the truth out.
It's coming out. Like if you look out in the news, even for today, woof, things are really coming out. The bad guys are getting the boot. They're getting caught. They're getting exposed. People are starting finally to notice this. So that's what we need is we're going to keep our sharing, we're going to keep promoting and do what we can to get this story out there. You will be asked to be interviewed, you're going to ask to speak on your experiences, you're going to be naming names and dates. It's pretty exciting what you'll be doing. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
I,
Justice
I've
for
lived a
John.
life of seclusion my whole life. I really been a loner. It's all new to me. I didn't know there was so much love in this world, and I met you guys and the king and so many wonderful lions that are full of love. But I didn't know people
Yeah,
like you guys existed.
right.
It's so appreciated.
Yep.
I hope our friend can get this on the website. I mentioned earlier if people buy a pendant, I'll try to give them the book, autographed, signed book with the pendant. I'm only getting 35. And then we just found out a minute ago these are going to be on Barnes and Nobles for $19.63.
1963, a very good year. Now, let
Yeah.
me just ask you a question, okay? One of the things that I want to do is to help you financially. Like, so, we've shown your pendants on your website, which I can certainly do at any time, but wouldn't it be better to put those 35 books out on your website for sale, and that way you collect the money versus
Yeah.
giving like
I just try to get my story out.
right?
Sometimes I don't think about the money so much, but it takes money to make the world go round. And
Yeah,
I live payday to payday and book to book and pendant to pendant. Basically, I really, really do.
right.
If if I sold a pendant yesterday, matter of fact. Um, Thank you, people that are help supporting. And I was at Lowe's and I was getting the parts to fix this, and I ran across a bucket of paint that was on discount. I was like, so yeah, it goes so fast, you get it, but I'm one for the bargains.
Yeah.
I really am.
You've
But
had to be. You've
it's
had to be.
it's payday to payday. It really, really is. So,
Wouldn't it
and
be
we
fun
need
to
this story out, world. There's so much going on. But
we need the
if
story.
you can see my water leak I had back here, I mentioned to it yesterday that Robin's clothes got all wet back there, but I got it fixed. I actually took a see. We're rebuilding this house, and we had a little. I think it was a 3 gallon hot water heater. In the summer, you don't need hot water here. It's so freaking hot. You have hot water and don't even have to
That's
have hot.
true.
But in the winter, I had a little 3 gallon hot water heater. So I was able to get a new hot water heater that's a 50, I think it's a 40 or 50 gallon hot water heater. And we had busted the shower. It wasn't leaking like it was, but we couldn't take a shower. So this morning, after I fixed it, I took a 20-minute shower and it never ran out of hot water. I just kept turning the hot water. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, you know, thanks to people supporting me and the love offerings and gifts. And like I said, I had sold a pennant. So it all makes it possible to.
It all helps. So John's website is the real John F. Kennedy Jr. at
Now that's
I'm
.com.
sorry, I'm sorry. Anyways, so much for being all official. It will be in the description of this video below. And now, can you show us the cover of the new book that you've got out?
Yeah.
All right, Mary Maxwell and John F. Kennedy Jr., The Historian's Tale, will be available on Barnes and Noble. And or if you are one of the next 35 people to order a pendant, you may get an autographed book. We'll just put
While
it there.
supplies last anyway.
Yeah, yeah, we don't guarantee that.
I told a few people already. It won't be 35 because I already told a few people, and I got to send King a book. I got to
Yeah,
send you. I got to send a few of those 35
yeah,
out to
yeah.
people.
It's all
But
good.
this is the beautiful Mary Maxwell,
Yeah,
the one that helped write this
yeah.
on the back, and it's awesome.
And this is
It,
John's first book that he had assistance with this one, Jackie Goldman, and she did an amazing job.
and
So
these books were actually signed by Mary and me both. It says Mary wrote John's correct name should be legally restored without delay, and she signed it and she dated it, and then I signed it, just
yeah,
like the 11 or 12 I sent out
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah,
They're all signed by both me and her. It's going to
yeah.
be a collector's item. It really will when
Yeah.
the story gets
Well,
out.
and like I said, you're going to have many more books and stories out there of what's happened that people will, it's going to help, but we got to get it out there first. So anything everyone that's watching can do, as we say every week, share this story around, write comments for the book. I'm traveling this week, so I bought a few of these and I sent them to where I'm staying. All right, because I didn't want to carry them in my luggage. But then I'm going to be passing them around. And guess what? People are going to say, "What's this?" And I'm going to tell them the story. And I've got a few extra ones in case they want it.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so just be creative, or if you want to donate, you can send John some books. You can send him cash. I'll have his Cash App in the description below. And we need to support and help John to get this story out there so he can get out there with the details. And then the other people that follow feel comfortable to bring their stories
It's
out as well.
so very much appreciated,
Yeah.
Sue. It really is. You people that have donated, I ain't shitting. I'm not. A couple of years ago, and this was just 2 years ago, I was literally walking around the streets, looking for change on the ground, looking in the change machine, the machines that spit out change, looking for money. I had zero income. My health was poor. I couldn't get no help from anyone. And with all your people's love and your blessings, my life has done a complete
Yeah.
360. I'm hoping it's a good thing because now I can actually go to the grocery store and buy something that I couldn't afford. And I feel guilty. It's like, I bought a steak. Wow. I
Mm.
should have bought spam instead of a steak. But
No, no.
um, but I was gonna say, this book, Mary Maxwell, the cover, when I was under MK Ultra, to explain it to people, I always said when I was under, meaning when I was under the MK Ultra state, which is a state of hypnosis. So she put on here to the lonely and the rebuffed, and to all who have been under,
Yeah.
to all that have been under, for not just me being the victim, but to all of us, to
Yeah.
get the story out for all of us, for the victims, the so many victims, and the people that are have been unalived during their greed and their,
Yeah.
so it's dedicated to all of them,
Yes.
everyone.
Well, it's really important to get this out. And of course, everyone that's watching now is so loyal and helpful, and I appreciate what they're doing. And in the comments, and it's going to take me a while to get it in the comments. So if you're watching live, give me a little bit. But at the top, I'm going to pin a link to Dizzy's YouTube channel where she has read the book out loud, and she has each chapter in a separate file. So go to the bottom of the shorts category, which I'll put
She's
in the
awesome.
and you can listen to the book being read. So this book, okay, if you can't afford the book, that's one way you can listen to the story.
Yeah, she's wonderful for doing that. Really, really.
Totally.
Um, I'm proud to say she'll be getting this one here in a couple days.
Yeah. Yeah. So for all those that have helped, have donated, have, done whatever, shared, I appreciate it. And I'm sure John does as well. And we
Yeah.
want to get this out this year. We're not fooling around anymore.
Yeah, I was sharing with Mary. I said, I get some extra money, Mary, because my trailer has the pictures of my book all over it, of this one.
Yeah.
And I said, Mary, I get some extra money. Guess what? This is going to be all over that trailer too.
Yep. Yep.
And maybe someday we can do book signings, and I'll pull up there with the trailer, and it'll just be covered in John Kennedy's books.
That
That'd
is
be
going to be
awesome.
awesome.
It'd be a
So
rolling advertisement for the truth.
yeah, that's what we need. Well, thank you so much for all you've done to get the story out there. Like literally, we would never have thought this had happened to anyone. And you've taught us so much about what, has happened behind the scenes that we didn't know about and why, how and why. Our eyes are more open than they were. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you, Sue,
Yeah.
so very much. I look forward to talking to you when you say, "Hey, I got a minute. Let's do
Yep.
it." Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank all
Anytime.
you lions for hitting that share button. Um, we're just one share away from the world knowing we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Thank you all. And thank you, John. We'll be talking again in a couple of days.
I'll